I'm Susan, a 32-year-old ER nurse and single mom. 3 weeks ago, at my sister's luxury wedding, Amber grabbed the microphone in front of 200 guests. She didn't toast to love. She pointed at me and sneered, "My sister is a single mother, unwanted by anyone." The room erupted in laughter. My mother, Brenda, leaned in from her table, loud enough for everyone to hear. "She's just a used product." My father covered a smirk while my 5-year-old son, Leo, gripped my hand, his eyes wide with confusion as he watched a room full of adults mock his mother. But there was one person who wasn't laughing, and what the groom, Caleb, did next shattered my family's glass house forever. Before I reveal the fallout, please like and subscribe to From My Heart for more stories of truth and triumph. Also, I'd love to connect with you. Where in the world are you listening from right now? Drop your city and time in the comments below. To understand how my own blood turned my life into a punchline, we have to go back to the beginning. Growing up in our 4-bedroom colonial in Greenwich, Connecticut, I learned early that there were two types of daughters in the Ingram household: the trophy and the backdrop. My sister Amber was the trophy. 4 years younger than me, she was born with that effortless golden girl charm that made teachers overlook late assignments and boys forget every other girl in the room. From her first steps, she was my father's little angel and my mother's mini-me. Then there was me, Susan. I was the responsible one. In my family's coded language, that was just a polite way of saying I was the one who didn't need attention because I was expected to handle everything on my own. My parents didn't see me as a child to be nurtured. They saw me as a piece of the furniture, functional, reliable, and completely invisible. The differences weren't just felt, they were visible. When prom season arrived, Amber didn't just get a dress, she got a $500 Sherry Hill gown. Blush pink, hand-beaded, the kind of dress that makes an entire room gasp when you walk in. My mother spent weeks making sure every stitch was perfect for her princess. 2 years earlier, when it was my turn, my mother looked at me over the rim of her reading glasses with a look of bored indifference. "Susan," she said, "you don't need all that flair. You're the simple, sturdy type. It suits you." I ended up wearing a dress from the clearance rack at Macy's. It was $63. I still remember the price because I had to save up my own babysitting money to pay for it. My parents forgot to set aside a budget for me. Our bedrooms told the real story of our worth. Amber had the corner suite with the balcony overlooking the manicured garden. It was filled with white furniture and fairy lights strung across the ceiling, like something out of a home decor magazine. My room? It was at the far end of the hall, squeezed between the laundry room and the utility closet. It was furnished with hand-me-downs from our grandmother's estate. Heavy, dark wood that felt like a cage. I didn't hate Amber for it back then. How could I? She was just a kid benefiting from a system she didn't create. But late at night, listening to the hum of the washing machine through my bedroom wall, I'd wonder what fundamental flaw existed inside of me. What was it about me that made my own parents look right through me, as if I were a shadow in my own home? I thought that by becoming a nurse, by dedicating my life to saving others, I'd finally earn their respect. I thought that by working 12-hour shifts in the ER, they'd see my strength. But even when I met my ex-husband, their only focus was on how it would look to their social circle. When that marriage crumbled while I was 7 months pregnant, my mother's first reaction wasn't to hold me. She just sighed and said, "I always worried you didn't have what it takes to keep a man happy." Amber would never let this happen to her. That was the Ingram family motto. Amber was the success story, and I was the cautionary tale. I had no idea that they were about to turn that cautionary tale into a public execution at the most expensive wedding Greenwich had ever seen. Before I reveal the fallout, please like and subscribe to From My Heart for more stories of truth and triumph. Also, I'd love to connect with you. Where in the world are you listening from right now? Drop your city and time in the comments below. To understand how my own blood turned my life into a punchline, we have to go back to the beginning. Caleb entered the picture about 2 years before the wedding. He was a children's rights attorney, the kind of man who didn't just talk about justice, but lived it, taking on pro bono cases for families the world had forgotten. He was handsome in a quiet, grounded way, with eyes that actually seemed to see people. The first time we met was at a family dinner. Amber was parading him around like a new accessory. While my parents were busy inflating Amber's ego, Caleb did something no one in that house ever did. He noticed Leo. He knelt down to my son's level and asked about his dinosaur shirt with genuine interest. Throughout that night, I caught Caleb watching us. He saw the way my mother redirected every conversation back to Amber. He saw the way I instinctively started clearing the table while Amber sat there, scrolling through her phone. As I was loading Leo into the car later that night, Caleb appeared by the trunk. "Does your family always treat you like you're invisible?" he asked softly. I was so caught off guard I nearly dropped the diaper bag. I forced a laugh and gave the standard Ingram response. "Oh, Amber's just the star, I'm the supporting cast." He didn't smile. He just nodded and said, "You're a great mother, Susan. Leo is lucky to have you." Those words stayed with me for weeks, a small fire in a very cold room. Then came the wedding invitation. It arrived in a cream envelope so thick it felt like a royal summons. Amber Marie Ingram and Caleb James Mercer. The venue was the Carlisle in Manhattan, a five-star landmark for the elite. The budget, a staggering $150,000, funded entirely by my parents. For context, when I got married, my parents handed me a $2,000 check and complained for 6 months about how it set back their retirement. But the invitation came with strings. Amber called me 2 weeks prior with her requirements. "Susan, please wear something understated," she commanded. "Neutrals only, no deep colors. I can't have anyone drawing attention away from me." I had saved up for a beautiful forest green dress, but I tucked it away. I didn't want to cause trouble. Then came the blow regarding my son. "Do you really have to bring Leo?" she asked, her voice dripping with irritation. "Susan, he's 5. He'll probably get fussy and ruin the aesthetic of the ceremony." I told her I had no childcare, that my ex was a ghost. She finally snapped, "Fine, but you're at table 23, near the service entrance. If he makes a peep, you take him out immediately." The morning of the wedding, my mother called to reinforce the hierarchy. "Susan, don't make a scene about the seating. This is Amber's day. We can't have any distractions." Distractions. That's what my son and I were to them. Not family, but distractions to be managed and hidden. Walking into the Carlisle ballroom felt like stepping into a movie. White roses cascaded from every surface, and crystal chandeliers threw light across 200 of New York's social elite. I wore a dove gray cocktail dress, modest, forgettable, exactly the background piece Amber demanded. Leo looked so handsome in his little navy vest, clutching my hand as we navigated the grandeur. Table 23 was exactly where they promised, tucked in a dark corner, half hidden behind a massive marble pillar, so close to the kitchen doors I could hear the clattering of plates and the staff shouting orders. No one from my immediate family came to say hello. I watched from the shadows as Brenda and Richard worked the room like politicians, basking in the glow of their only daughter's success. I saw a notification flash on my mother's phone as she left it on a nearby table to go dance. It was a text from Amber. "Is the plan ready? Let's make sure she knows her place tonight." My stomach twisted, but I told myself I was being paranoid. I thought I was just there to be the invisible sister one last time. I had no idea I was actually the main entertainment for a show I never signed up for. Before I reveal the fallout, please like and subscribe to From My Heart for more stories of truth and triumph. Also, I'd love to connect with you. Where in the world are you listening from right now? Drop your city and time in the comments below. To understand how my own blood turned my life into a punchline, we have to go back to the beginning. The clinking of a silver spoon against a crystal flute silenced the room. The MC stepped to the microphone, his voice echoing under the high ceilings of the Carlisle. "Ladies and gentlemen, the bride would like to share a few words." Amber rose like a queen. Her Vera Wang gown shimmered under the spotlights, and her Cartier bracelet caught the light as she took the mic. She started with the usual fluff, thanking the guests, gushing over the flowers. But then, her tone shifted. Her eyes scanned the room, bypassing the front rows until they landed directly on me, tucked away at table 23. "I want to talk about family," Amber said, her voice honey-sweet but laced with something sharp. "And specifically, I want to talk about my sister, Susan. Could you stand up, Susan? I want everyone to see you." My heart hammered against my ribs. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling like lead. 200 faces turned toward the dark corner by the kitchen. Leo looked up at me, his small hand trembling in mine. "You see," Amber continued, her smile widening into something predatory, "my sister is a single mother. She's unwanted. Her husband couldn't handle the baggage, I guess, and now she's alone. She's a cautionary tale for all of us here." A ripple of nervous laughter spread through the room. I felt the heat rise to my face. But then, my mother's voice rang out from the head table, loud and clear. "She's just a used product." The ballroom erupted, not with gasps of horror, but with laughter. People leaned back in their chairs, chuckling into their champagne. I looked down at Leo. His face was crumpled with confusion. "Mommy, why is everyone laughing at you?" he whispered, his voice tiny and terrified. I couldn't breathe. I saw the notes in Amber's hand. This wasn't a toast. It was a scripted execution. She was riding the wave of laughter, leaning into the mic to finish me off. "So, thank you, Susan, for showing me exactly what not to do with my life." Suddenly, the laughter died. Caleb had pushed back his chair. His jaw was set, his eyes fixed on Leo's shaking frame. He walked toward the stage with a terrifying purpose. Amber beamed, thinking he was coming to join her. Instead, he reached out and firmly took the microphone from her hand. "I apologize for the interruption," Caleb said, his voice steady as a heartbeat. "But I've spent 2 years watching this family treat Susan like she's nothing. I've watched the exclusion, the insults, and the quiet cruelty." He turned to Amber, who was now frozen in shock. "You just made a 5-year-old boy watch 200 adults laugh at his mother. You called her unwanted. You called her damaged goods." He looked at the crowd, his voice cracking with pure, righteous fury. "I am a children's rights attorney. I fight people like you for a living, and I cannot, become part of a family that inflicts this kind of trauma." The silence was absolute. Amber tried to grab his arm, whispering, "It was just a joke, Caleb. Sit down." "A joke?" Caleb's laugh was hollow. "You rehearsed this. You turned your sister's pain into a performance." He stepped back, creating a visible chasm between them. "I can't marry you, Amber. Not today. Not ever." He set the mic down with a thud that sounded like a gavel. As he walked off the stage, my mother stormed toward me, her face twisted with rage. "What did you do?" she hissed. "You poisoned him. You ruined your sister's life." But for the first time in 32 years, I didn't apologize. I didn't cry. I picked up Leo, tucked the business card Caleb handed me into my purse, and walked toward the exit. As the ballroom doors closed behind us, the screaming of my mother faded. I looked at my son and said, "Let's go get some chocolate chip pancakes, baby. We're going home." I finally understood. I wasn't the one who was unwanted. They were the ones who didn't deserve to be in my life. I saw a notification flash on my mother's phone as she left it on a nearby table to go dance. It was a text from Amber. "Is the plan ready? Let's make sure she knows her place tonight." My stomach twisted, but I told myself I was being paranoid. I thought I was just there to be the invisible sister one last time. I had no idea I was actually the main entertainment for a show I never signed up for. Before I reveal the fallout, please like and subscribe to From My Heart for more stories of truth and triumph. Also, I'd love to connect with you. Where in the world are you listening from right now? Drop your city and time in the comments below. To understand how my own blood turned my life into a punchline, we have to go back to the beginning. By the time I got Leo bathed and tucked into bed, my phone was a war zone. 47 missed calls, 31 from my mother, 12 from Amber, and 4 from my father. I sat on the edge of my bed, still in that gray dress, watching the screen light up with venom. "You ruined everything," my mother's text read at 10:47 p.m. "You're jealous and bitter. Amber is hysterical, and it's all your fault." I didn't reply. I just watched. But the real blow came the next morning. My best friend Chloe sent me a series of screenshots. "A cousin's girlfriend saw the family group chat, Susan. You need to see this." I opened the images. It was a group chat titled, "Ingram Family, No Susan." The messages were dated 2 weeks before the wedding. Amber: "I've been working on my speech. I'm going to call her out in front of everyone. Make her see what a disappointment she is." Mother: "Just don't go too far, sweetie. We don't want to seem cruel, but you're right, she's always been an embarrassment. Just make it funny. People love a good roast." Father: "Just don't mention me in it." They had planned it. My mother hadn't just laughed. She had helped edit the script that called her own daughter a used product. My father hadn't just been quiet. He had been an accomplice. There was no misunderstanding. This was a coordinated strike. 3 days later, they showed up at my apartment. My mother was draped in cashmere, her face a mask of wounded victimhood. "Susan, you need to call Caleb," she commanded before she even crossed the threshold. "Tell him you lied. Tell him you provoked Amber. He won't return her calls, and the venue is demanding full payment. Do you have any idea how much money you've cost this family?" I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing but pity. "I didn't cost you anything, Mom," I said, my voice calm. "Amber stood up and mocked me in front of 200 people. You called me a used product in front of my 5-year-old son. Caleb didn't need me to poison him. He just needed to see who you really are." "It was a joke," she shrieked. "You've always been so sensitive." "No," I replied, stepping back toward my door. "I've always been a target. But that ends today. I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing this because I finally understand that I deserve better than what you're capable of giving." I closed the door and locked it. Then I did the hardest, most beautiful thing I've ever done. I blocked every single one of them. 6 months have passed since that night at the Carlisle. Caleb reached out to me, not for a date, but to offer his legal services pro bono to ensure my ex-husband never bothers Leo again. He's a good man who did a brave thing, and we remain distant but respectful friends. Amber's reputation in Greenwich never quite recovered. New York social circles are small, and the bride who got dumped for being a bully isn't a title you can just wish away. As for me, I got a promotion to senior charge nurse. Leo started kindergarten and drew a picture of our family last week. It was just 2 people, him and me, holding hands. "That's our family, Mommy," he said. "Just us." I realized then that for 32 years I had been chasing a seat at a table where I was never welcome. Now I've built my own table. It's smaller, sure, but every seat is filled with love, respect, and people who would never dream of calling me unwanted. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't fighting back, it's walking away and never looking back. I finally understood. I wasn't the one who was unwanted. They were the ones who didn't deserve to be in my life. I saw a notification flash on my mother's phone as she left it on a nearby table to go dance. It was a text from Amber. "Is the plan ready? Let's make sure she knows her place tonight." My stomach twisted, but I told myself I was being paranoid. I thought I was just there to be the invisible sister one last time. I had no idea I was actually the main entertainment for a show I never signed up for. Before I reveal the fallout, please like and subscribe to From My Heart for more stories of truth and triumph. Also, I'd love to connect with you. Where in the world are you listening from right now? Drop your city and time in the comments below. To understand how my own blood turned my life into a punchline, we have to go back to the beginning. This journey taught me that blood doesn't always equal family. Family is where you're celebrated, not just tolerated. If you're struggling with toxic relatives, remember, setting boundaries is an act of self-love, not selfishness. You deserve to be at a table where your worth is never a punchline. If this story resonated with you, Please hit the like button and subscribe to From My Heart to support our community. Have you ever had to walk away for your own peace? Let me know in the comments. You aren't alone. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.